Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of SoTellUs Time. Trevor and Troy Howard here with you today, and we are, as usual, excited to be with you. It's a great Tuesday morning, Monday. I'm sure you crushed it. Some of you might be on October break with your kids. And when I say Monday morning, you probably crushed it. I was just joking. You were probably really exhausted because I bet your kids were partying and it was Sunday night and you probably stayed up late because the kids were partying. At least that's what I experienced last night. So it was a good time. We had the nieces and nephews over. Troy's daughter was over. They played games. It was really fun. October break is a great time to get together and celebrate and be together with family. And so that's what we did last night. But I drew the short stick and had to stay up late with all the kids. And I was feeling it. So Monday was a rough day for us, or for me at least. And so I was just joking. But hopefully you guys are having a great October break. Some of you, it may just be starting. Some of you, it may be ending. But we are back with you and we are excited to be here. We've got a great episode for you guys today. We're going to be talking about unlocking hidden profits. So 5 secret revenue streams that your business might be missing. Doesn't that sound exciting? To get more revenue, right? Most business owners are sitting on hidden profits that they don't even know about. And it's funny because Troy and I, we see this all the time as we go in and we do consulting for businesses. They're so in it. It's in their face, right? Like they're looking at it right here. Oh my gosh, I can't see anything, Whereas we'll come in and it's really easy for us to look at it from what we call a 30,000 view. From way up high, we can kind of see the entire business and we can see all of the, potential hidden profits that might be there. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Troy, let's jump in. They didn't come to hear me ramble and rant. They came to hear you educate. So let's get going.
I don't know about that, but let's talk about first why these hidden revenues get overlooked in your business. Let's talk about the problem. And number one is we call it the comfort zone problem, which basically it's like Trevor kind of said, owners are focused on what has always worked in their business, that they never really look at what could work better in their business, right? Yeah. Or what could work that they've never even tried before in their business. So we get into that comfort zone and we're just like, yep, this is how I've always done it. And this is how it works. And I'm not going to change anything, because I don't want to mess up what's already working, right? But because of that, we miss these other opportunities for revenue that might even be better opportunities for revenue because we just can't see them, right? We've got our blinders on and we're just in that comfort zone and we're just pushing forward like we always do. The other thing is we call it busy blindness, where, you get so busy taking care of the day-to-day operations of the business. It consumes so much of your time that it really leaves no room for any analysis of your business. And it doesn't give you the opportunity, or you don't take the opportunity to go look at other ways that you can bring, increasing your revenue in your business, because you're just,
I was gonna say they probably call it, or they've heard it as working in the business instead of on the business. I mean, we've talked about that a lot, but that's what it is. It's working. You're so busy working in the business, you're not doing all the things that are working on the business to help the business grow, right? Staying busy, but with just kind of busy work that you should be paying somebody else a lot less than yourself to do.
Exactly.
And I will say, I'll throw this in there. Troy and I have had these discussions. We remind each other of this all the time because we love to jump in. We love to get to, if it's something new, we love to learn it. We want to do it. I mean, we definitely want to perfect it and then maybe get it on to people. We've gotten better at that. But we have each reminded each other several times. It's like, Troy, do you want to pay someone $15 an hour to do this? Or do you want to pay yourself $300 an hour to do this? I think we should pay $15 an hour, bud. And he's like, yeah, you're right. And he's done the same thing for me.
Yep. Exactly. So, and again, the days get away from us, right? You come in, you have a goal and a plan. You're like, I'm going to get this done today. And then the day goes by, the day's over, and you're like, man, I didn't touch anything on my to-do list, but I worked all day long. I was busy all day long, but I was working on those, less important things. The other thing too is lack of systems and data, right? If you don't have any systems in place, if you don't have any data, if you can't track your key metrics, your conversion rates, your follow-ups, your sales, you're not going to be able to see those potential profit leaks. They'll just go unnoticed, right? You'll be losing money, or not adding additional revenue that you could be adding into the business because, you just don't have the data to even know that it's there, that the potential is there, right? So, it's really important to kind of pay attention to these three things and then decide, how you can overcome them in your business. And we're going to talk about ways to do that today. But, it's very easy for a lot of times, and we see this in businesses all the time. A lot of businesses, realize that 30% of the leads that they get never even get followed up with. We were working with one business and we asked them, these leads were worth a lot of money, like $50,000 per lead kind of thing. Right. And we asked them, we're like, okay, how is your team following up with these? And they're like, they have like a spreadsheet. And I'm like, okay, great. Let's ask your team, how often do they follow up with these leads? And they're like, and the answer was, I call them once or I email them once. And it's like, wait, what?
$50,000
and you email them once and call them once, right? So that's an example of where you might be losing revenue. Just
guarantee it. I guarantee it. 90% of businesses out there do not follow up enough. And it's like, oh, we're busy. Well, and they're not paying attention to their staff. Troy, you probably have the solution for that, but I'm going to throw automation just in case that's not your solution, because there are several, but that's one of them.
Exactly. So now that you can understand why these gaps exist, we can start to uncover them systematically and how to kind of overcome them. So let's talk first about those. These are going to be your 5. Trevor talked about 5 hidden revenue sources that most businesses miss. We're going to be talking about those next. So number 1 is unconverted leads, right? Check your old inquiries, check your missed calls or your lost quotes. How many quotes have you given out in your business that you never heard back from the person, or you never followed up, or your team never followed up with them after sending the quote? Yeah. Think about that. How many times do you follow up after a quote is sent to a lead? Yeah. Because if it's not a lot, then you're missing revenue.
Well, right? And that's the thing is, I would say that some of our service industry guys are going to be like, well, if I don't get to them in this period of time, or if they don't respond, or, whatever, it's like, cool. But that's like what you're talking about. One of the things that, again, I'm going to throw in there is a nurture campaign, because I can't tell you how many times a business, you might not get them on the first go round. Somebody else might snag them. But when you have a nurture campaign and you're following up with leads that didn't even close, right? You still bring back a percentage. And we have proven that time and time again. And we do that in our own business. I mean, Nick just used a couple hundred people, I think, or maybe 100 people. I don't remember what it was, but he sent out to people who didn't close, who maybe he didn't even get a hold of actually. And he set up a webinar talking about some of the new things that people are probably interested in, like AI and stuff like that, automation and AI. And he had over 30 something, like 40 registrants from people, I believe, he didn't even get a hold of in the first place, the first go round, and got several sales, a lot of sales off of that. In fact, I want to say, Troy, Nick just in the last 3 days of last week, he closed like 21 sales over like a 3-day period or something like that. Yeah. Something, and guys, this is proof. We live it. What we preach, we live, we practice what we preach. So anyways, just want to throw that in there. I want to push. You need to be listening. Yep,
exactly. And especially, here's the thing. If you're spending money on marketing, you need to be nurturing those leads, right? You already spent the money. So if you just let them go into lost and you never reach out to them again, you wasted your money, right? You're the one who wasted that money. And again, like you said, Nick just literally did that. He turned lost leads into sales.
Awesome.
by reaching out. So, that re-engagement campaigns often can bring in instant cash flow, right? So if you're having a slow month or something, or maybe this, your season's going a little bit slow, how often are you reaching out to those lost leads, right? Those people that you didn't close immediately, right? We all try to go with that low-hanging fruit, and we forget about all the other fruit that's still left in the tree because it just takes a little bit more work.
Yeah.
Right?
Most companies live off of the low-hanging fruit, which is crazy, because the low-hanging fruit is also the easiest fruit to go away, to go rotten, right? If we're going to go with the fruit analysis. Like, I just had a guy come to us and he's like, my clientele's dying. So talk about going rotten, fruit going rotten, right? Like, he's like, my clientele's dying. Oh, okay, great. What have you been doing over all of these years while you've been thriving? What have you been doing to generate new clients? Nothing. And I'm like, people, I told him, I said, the first thing you need to do is start listening to our podcast. You need to binge, go to episode 1 and binge all the way through. I said, that's what you're going to do. Anyways, keep going.
Yep. All right. Another area of revenue is upselling and cross-selling. So, do you offer premium versions of your services? Are there add-ons? Are there bundles that people can do that are going to increase your ticket item, right? And make you more revenue? A lot of times you'd be amazed at how often it's, if you just offer it, we're like, oh, they picked this. Well, great. Give them that, but then offer, oh, by the way, you can get this as well, right? That small upsell. In fact, my wife and I, we took our kids to Knott's Berry Farm the other day. Guess what? They upsold us. Like, great upsell. It was like, hey, you can pay $60 for one day, or you can pay $100 and get the rest of this year and all of next year.
Yep.
Okay, well, that sounds like a really good deal. Will I go back to Knott's Berry Farm? Maybe, but they got extra money out of me.
Yes,
right?
they did.
Because now I have the option of going back to them. So they upsold, right? Yep. They gave me a good deal that was enticing enough that I'm like, yep, you know what? I'm going to pay the extra in case I come back.
Yep.
So
you want to think about it. Go to the movies. You want to upgrade to a large for $1. It's just $1. You want to upgrade to a large fry for just 50 cents? Just 50 cents. Yeah. Do that 100,000 times and guess how much that is. That's $100,000, people.
Yeah,
50 cents is that, what is that? $50,000 or something, like, come on.
Exactly. Think about it. The small popcorn's like $5.
Yeah.
They get you on the first part of it, right? Oh, you can get a small popcorn for $5 that won't even like fill you up. Or for 50 cents more, you can get a giant tub.
Yeah. And you get a refill. That tells you how much it costs.
Yeah.
Free refill. It's like,
so look at ways that you can upsell and cross-sell in your business.
Yes.
Teach your staff to suggest logical next steps for your customers, right? So, okay, awesome. We just cleaned your carpets. While we're here, would it make sense for us to go ahead and clean your upholstery as well on that couch? That couch looks like it's a little bit old. Oh yeah, great. Let's do that. Now, next thing.
Then let me throw something in there. Let's teach your staff, Troy. That's a big one. Teach them. So they say, no, I'm not really going to do, I don't know about the upholstery today. I don't know. I need to talk to my husband, or, I don't know. Okay, great. Well, no problem. Actually, what we'll do is you can get that 20% discount or whatever that is for the next 2 weeks. So we'll go ahead and follow up with you over the next 2 weeks and see if after you had time to talk to your husband. So train your staff and then incentivize them, right? Incentivize them to upsell people.
Exactly. All right. Next one is pricing and value perception, right? So either slight price increases or better packaging can lift your margins. And we kind of talked about that with the popcorn, right? It's like, get this size for this price or get a way bigger size for a little bit more. That's better packaging, and that lifts the margins up there for you. Again, don't compete on price either. You want to compete on experience and expertise. If you're competing on price, it's a race to the bottom, and it's a race to being out of business, honestly. Because there's always going to be somebody else who's going to try and do it cheaper. And eventually you're going to hit a price that nobody can do it for that price. And now you're all out of business. So, focus on experience, expertise, your reputation, those things. And
Yeah.
that's what you want to go for, make it on the value.
Make more money. Don't be the cheapo. Don't be the, because people just, and I'll give a quick. But my father-in-law, one of the things he does is he owns a business that stocks gas stations with all the trinkets, all the hats, all the sunglasses, lighters, everything. And he had these awesome sunglasses that were in style at the time, and they were like $5 or $3. And he had all of his accounts were calling him saying, hey, come get these glasses. They're just not selling. He's like, what the heck? Why are they should be selling. They should be flying off the rack. He says, well, here, let me do this. Let me just do something really quick. I'm going to stop by and let me see if this works. And so he stopped by, and all he did was he changed it from like $2.99 for a pair of glasses to $24.99. So he just I don't even know what X that is, but that's a lot of X. Okay. And they flew off the shelves. They flew off of the rack, and he couldn't keep up all of his accounts. He was driving all over the country, refilling all of these accounts because they couldn't keep those sunglasses on the rack. And all he did was went from $2.99. He thought he was giving, hey, great deal. Like, he's making good money. The stores are still making good money on it, but they thought it's not valuable. There's no value. These are only $2.99 glasses, $24.99, $25, and they couldn't keep it on the rack. So that's just a good example. And we work with Joe Polish, who's now Genius Network, but used to be Prana Marketing. And the first thing he would do when he would bring you into his program, Prana Marketing was for carpet cleaners. The first thing he would do was he'd make you raise your prices. He would tell you, you're dumb if you don't raise your prices. And he would have, and people would, oh my gosh. And I don't know. And you know what? They raised the prices and they made more money.
Yeah.
And it was fine.
Exactly.
Because they were undervaluing their services anyways. So anyways, don't be just the cheapest. Okay.
Exactly. All right. Number 4, recurring revenue opportunities. Is there ways for you to create, turn those one-time transactions into subscriptions, memberships, or maintenance plans, right? How can you turn that one-time customer into a, customer that's going to be paying you multiple times throughout the year over the next couple of years, right? So I want you to think about that. That might be packages where it's like, hey, we came in, we cleaned your carpets, but guess what? If you sign up right now, we schedule you for a 6-month cleaning, we're going to give you this discount right away on your next cleaning. So how can you set that up and turn it into more of a subscription or, recurring revenue model? Next, and number 5 is operational inefficiencies. So you need to take a look at your expenses. You need to take a look at redundant tools or underused staff time, right? Take a look at some of those areas where you might be losing money because you're either paying for systems that you're not utilizing, you're spending money where you shouldn't be spending money, or your staff is not busy, right? And that one always cracks me up. People are like, oh, we don't have time to follow up, but then we see their staff sitting around doing nothing. And it's like, wait a minute, your staff is sitting there waiting for the phone to ring when they should be making phone calls out to talk to the leads that they have not been able to get a hold of, right? Yeah. So it's important to remember that every dollar saved is a dollar earned.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
So that's another area that you can really kind of ramp up your revenue by, taking care of those inefficiencies.
Well, and I'll add to that. It's like every dollar saved, it's easier to save a dollar than it is to gain a new dollar, right? It's easier to keep a client. I think that the stats are like, it's literally 10 times easier to keep a client, or more affordable to keep a client, than it is to gain a new client. It costs you 10 times, 10x to capture a new client as it does just keep the client you already have. So, just maximize those employees. We do it all the time too. And you got to go through. And here's the thing is, it is a constant thing. It's a constant thing in business. Everything is constant, right? We have to always reiterate these things. So you're going to make changes. And that's why it's good. Go back for our listeners, go back and listen to previous podcasts and implement more things, because we usually give you several things to implement. I guarantee you didn't implement them all. So you need to be going back. It's like a refresher. It's like, why do we read things over and over and over again? Why do I listen to the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People 3, 4, 5 times a year, every year? Because every time I do it, I learn something a little bit different, right? So you need to expect that in your business. You're going to talk to employees, you're going to maximize them, and then over time they're going to fall off, and then you got to do it again, and then you got to do it again, and you got to do it again. So just remember that this is a constant battle that is in the business.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to uncover hidden opportunities in your own business. So number one is audit process. You need to review your customer journey. Where are people dropping off in your lead, your lead journey and your customer journey, right? If you can find the place where the majority of people fall out of your lead pipeline, you can fix the pipeline, right? You can focus on it, you can fix it, and you can close more sales. Same thing with your customers. Where are your customers falling off? I'll tell you, a lot of times where customers fall off is you service them for the first time and then you never follow up with them ever again. They never hear from you. You just hope that they reach out to you at a later date, right? So that's another, we've talked about that. That's another hidden opportunity, right? That nurture campaign, not just for leads, but for your existing customers as well. Another way you can kind of go through this audit process is analyze your top 10 customers. What do they buy and why do they buy it? Right? If you take your top 10 customers, wouldn't you like to have 100 customers like your top 10 customers? Great. Look at those customers, figure out why they chose you, what they purchased and why they purchased it. And then you can use that in your marketing to find more people like your top 10 customers. And again,
and if
your top 10 customers probably spend the most with you, right?
Oh, and if it's just 10, ask them. Ask them why they chose you, and then just replicate it. Okay. And then ask them for 10 friends each.
Exactly.
And now you have 100 clients. Right?
Exactly. Then next one is survey your team, right? A lot of times your team know where the opportunities lie. They're in the trenches. They're working with, your clients, every single day. They know where things can improve, but they may not be telling you because you're not asking them. So go ahead and ask them, get their input as to where those opportunities are and where you can improve. And then, of course, always it comes back to data, right? Use simple data. Track your leads, track your conversions, track your repeat purchases, your repeat customers. Track all of that, and then that'll give you the data you need to make the right decision. So it's really important to have a profit hunting mindset, right? Meaning you need to treat every inefficiency or missed connection as potential revenue, right? You need to be hunting it in your business because it is there. I don't know that Trevor and I have ever walked into a business that we've consulted with and said, you know what? Nope. Everything is good to go. There's nowhere else you can maximize profits.
No, most of the time, it's funny is most of the time what we end up doing is telling people, if you will just do X, Y, and Z for free, if you just put the work in, you can do what you want to do. What you came to us and saying, I want to double my company. And if you'll just do X, Y, and Z, and that's free, that's just you putting in the elbow grease and making some of these simple changes. It's not even about spending money. You'll double, you'll hit your goals. And then when you do that, come back to us.
Yep.
Then they trust us and then they'll spend more money, right? So it's a win-win. Everybody's making money. It's great.
Exactly. And that kind of leads into my last little section here, which is turning insight into action, right? You want to start small. Pick one area that you can optimize this week, right? You need to measure those results. And then guess what? You need to, and Trevor said it, you need to reinvest the extra revenue that you get out of that into growth or customer experience, right? So you find those profits, you reinvest those into growing the company even more, and you find more profits and you reinvest those. And that's how you just, expand your company and grow your business like crazy, right?
Yep.
Hidden revenue isn't about working harder. It's actually about working smarter in your
Totally.
business. All right, Trevor, anything you want to add before we wrap up?
No, that's good. I interjected a lot and we went over not over. We're at just about 25 minutes. So, hey, that's still pretty good. 25 minutes of your time to absolutely alter, change, and win in your business. So, guys, this week, look at your business for these these hidden revenue generating opportunities. I guarantee we should have actually broke this up into like three episodes, to be honest, because this is chock full. If you just listen and then you go and try to implement one thing and you don't come back and listen to this episode like 5 more times, then you are crazy and you're not going to grow. And that's your fault, not my fault. So I'm growing. We're growing. We are loving life because we are growing over here and we want you to grow with us. That's why we do this. So, all right, guys. Well, that's it. Go look for some of these secret hidden revenue generating or revenue increasing situations that you might have in your business. Okay. Or you can pay Troy and I a lot of money to come and analyze your business for you. And it's a lot of money. Or you can just do what we told you to do in the podcast, okay? For free. All right, guys. Well, we love you. We appreciate you. We're so grateful for you. We love spending our time with you. Hopefully you're having a great time. I think you are. Our YouTube channel is growing like crazy. And our podcast everywhere else, Spotify and Audible and everywhere, literally anywhere and everywhere that you can think of, it is growing as well. And we're loving it. I think we just got a email saying we were like over... Oh man, I don't even remember what the latest one was. It was hundreds of thousands of listens and it's awesome. And so I know that our team, I think they post that on social media from time to time. So you better be paying attention to the social media because guess what? We also have other things that we're doing on our social media that if you're paying attention, you're going, wait a minute, what are they doing? I want that. I want what they're doing. Okay. So that's a little teaser, the secret to generating revenue. If you go check out our social media, you will see it. And then you will say, I want that. All right, guys. Well, we will catch you on the next episode of SoTellUs Time.